Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. What if living a longer, healthier, happier life wasn't about willpower, but about the community around you? This week on Scottsdale Vibes, I'm sitting down with Sarah Kearney of Blue Zones Project Scottsdale to talk about the simple changes helping Scottsdale residents connect more, stress less, and thrive. We had her on a couple years ago, and they have a 5-year plan, so I'm excited to see how we have come along in the past 2 or 3 years with Sarah. But first, we have our favorite Shawn, Shackelton real estate agent here in Scottsdale. So, Shawn, let's talk about this. We've talked in the past about how lifestyle in Scottsdale is a very active, healthy, happy community as a whole.
Yes.
Talk about how that really affects the real estate market as well and how people are wanting that.
Well, it's interesting because whenever I talk to anybody that's moving here, I'm going to kind of, they start talking about houses and prices and things like that, but it's really what we need to boil it down to is like, what is your lifestyle like? Mm-hmm. Because where you end up within Scottsdale is going to be pretty determined by what your lifestyle is. Because those people that are like avid golfers, they really want to be around golf courses. Now, that's not hard to do in Scottsdale because we have like over 200 or something like that. But they also like hiking and biking and, you know, all the things. Pickleball, holy cow. That's bananas. I still can't believe the pickleball train, but whatever.
It's fantastic. That's all I'm going to leave it at.
Okay. I've never played it. I don't have that kind of time. But it's a lot of it all circles around people move here because they want to be outside. As crazy as that sounds, because everyone goes, oh my gosh, it's so hot. But on
only like
all
4
those,
or 5 months of the year.
Right. In all those other months when we're not hot, everybody just wants to be outside.
Yeah.
And they want to be moving their body.
Are you seeing, pickleball is obviously a big trend right now. We have the HOA communities where you have all of these amenities available for you. You also have some of these larger yachts where people are doing, you know, the pickleball courts in the backyard or the sport courts or whatever. What are you kind of seeing? Is there a trend that's leading more popular in that sense of, do we want to be close to walkability? Do we want to have an HOA? Do we want to have a private thing?
Well, the walkability thing is just, it's really impossible here.
It is.
So,
yeah.
People, when I talk to some people, they're like, you know, I want to be in the place where it's like the most walkable. And I'm like,
where?
We don't really have that option. You know, there's a couple places, but then I always have to talk to them about budget. Because where you have a tiny bit of walkability, the price points are really, really high.
I think it's demographic where you're going to for that sense. You know, some Old Town can be walkable, but it's much younger. You know,
for sure. And that's the kind of thing. Like sometimes when people say, oh, I want to be walkable, like I think I want to be in Old Town. I'm like, great. Let's talk about that a little bit more. And what are you looking for in your lifestyle besides that walkability? Like, do you want that? And then they start talking about, I really like to live in a place that's quiet and peaceful. I'm like, okay, I need you to drive around Old Town and I want you to really experience that and see what it's like. And then let's talk about it again. And they'll usually always come back to me and go, yeah, it's too busy. Mm-hmm. It's just too busy. I'm like, okay, you know, but you have to experience that for yourself. You have to figure that part out. And again, the other places really that can get a tiny bit of walkability sometimes is small pockets of like McCormick Ranch and then a little bit of DC Ranch. But again, you have to pick those really close areas where the shopping and things like that are. But then your price point's high. So it just depends on what your price point is and what other things you like to do.
What is the biggest surprise you're seeing from people moving here when it comes to the availability of being close to and accessible to these outdoor activities?
Like, what do they want to be close to? Well, really, when people are coming here from other places, they really want to move to a place where they have a lot of the things that they like to do lifestyle-wise, but then will automatically kind of have a sense of community.
Yeah.
Is really what they're looking for.
Why do you think community is so important?
Well, because a lot of people move here and they don't know anybody.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I think we have a sense here in Scottsdale that most cities don't.
I agree with you. And a lot of times I tell people, they're like, oh, you know, we're a little afraid because we've heard, you know, Scottsdale can be a little, you know, whatever. And I'm like, here's what I will tell you. I have a lot of people that move into Scottsdale from other places. And when I talk to them later, they will often tell me, oh my gosh, the people here are so nice. Mm-hmm. And I tell them this has no scientific backing or, you know, long-term data other than this is what my thought is. I think a lot of people move here from other places, so they all know what it's like to be the new person.
I agree with you. It's becoming a melting pot that like we all have to rely on each other.
Well, and it's just you remember being that new person. Yeah. So it's like when you see that new person, it's like say hello, welcome. You know, we had a new neighbor move in, and they weren't from another state, but they didn't live here. They moved from another city. Mm-hmm. And I mean, their kids have been at my house. Our kids have been at their house, and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much," you know, because they just fit right in, you know, and it's great.
Luxury lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. Why do you think it's so prominent here in Scottsdale, and that's something that really stands out for us as a city?
Well, I think that Scottsdale has always been a place that people have come and been active. You know, even when quote unquote Scottsdale was like a retirement community, it wasn't like a retirement, like nothing to do. They all came here to golf, be part of a country club, you know, again, that sense of community somehow, some way, and the extracurricular things that they liked to do within their lifestyle. But then, I mean, literally, I would tell you that the demographic has gotten younger.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
But those are more active people too. I mean, I do play pickleball. We are out on the trails, biking, hiking, walking, and stuff like that with our kids. And our family individually.
I can tell you. I mean, literally everybody that I talk to that wants to move to Scottsdale, I'm like, okay, talk to me about your lifestyle. They're like, well, I like to be outside. I like to walk. I like to hike. People will tell me I don't golf. I'm not a golfer, so I don't need to be in a golf community. Great, you know. But there's so many other things to do. Like I want to be near trailheads because I like to hike. I want to be near trailheads because I like to bike. I like to be, you know, I want to be near some of the bigger pickleball things. I mean, I have people asking that. I have 2 people right now. They're like, I really want a lap pool in my backyard. I'm like, oof, it's tough.
Yeah.
But we're trying to figure it out.
We're also 20 minutes from everything. I feel like in Scottsdale.
Well, and I mean, right. So people not only want to come here and have an active lifestyle, but they also like nice things. Right? So having Scottsdale Quarter and Kierland so close, where you've got a lot of dining, a lot of shopping, all those things so close, it gives you something really for everyone.
Yeah, in all stages of life.
Yeah.
I totally agree. What are some of your favorite things that you like to do?
Oh my gosh. Well, I work a lot.
I was about to say, besides get all of us housed and happy.
And it's just because of the age of my kids. I mean, really,
it's
right
hard.
now it's just all about that.
I mean, you used to bike and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I used
that
to race
too.
bikes. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm the same way. Everyone's like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Well, I do my kids' sports on Saturday, and then on Sunday, same thing."
We're at practice, and then sports on the weekend. And
we are lucky that we have trails in our backyard too, but everything is right there.
Yeah,
so I agree.
it's great.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and I'm excited about the kind of people and the healthy, happy lifestyles. We'll hear more about Blue Zone's project of Scottsdale with Sarah Kearney. But first, of course, Shawn has been here for over 25 years, giving all of our guided buyers and sellers with straight talk, smart strategy, and data that keeps us ahead of the market. So if you want a calm pro who won't let you settle for less, reach out to Shawn at 480-734-7277 or visit theshackletongroup.com and make your next move a winning one. Today, we're talking about something that impacts every single one of us here in Scottsdale, and that's how we live, connect, walk, eat, move, and ultimately how we feel in our everyday lives. You may have heard of Blue Zones, the area around the world where people consistently live longer and healthier lives. Blue Zones Project Scottsdale is taking those lessons and bringing them right here to our own backyard and our community through programs, partnerships, events, and everyday lifestyle changes designated to make healthy living easier and more natural. It's hard to believe that we can make improvements here in wonderful Scottsdale. But I'm excited to have Executive Director of Blue Zones, Sarah Kearney, with me today, as she has spent years serving and strengthening the Scottsdale community through leadership, tourism, nonprofit work, and community engagement. I had to take a breath. And now she's helping us lead this exciting initiative focused on well-being and connection throughout Scottsdale. So I'm excited to have you back, Sarah, because we talked about this a couple years ago, right when it started.
Yes.
It was very new. You're still just as enthusiastic and excited about it. We have learned a lot and grown together the past couple years, but let's just start there are new people in the city, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. What is Blue Zone Scottsdale?
So first we got to start with what Blue Zones are.
Yeah.
And I can break it down really quickly and simply if they didn't catch the first episode that we were able to record together. But Blue Zones are the places around the globe where people live longer, better lives. And our founder, Dan Buettner, is a National Geographic fellow and researcher, New York Times best-selling author, and he's been doing this research over the last 25 years. And so those original 5 Blue Zones are Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Icaria, Greece, and then Loma Linda, California. And in those 5 places, there were 9 common lifestyle principles and denominators that really concluded with longer, better lives. And so we're taking those lifestyle principles, how their environments help shape healthy living, and we're bringing them to Scottsdale, but to make them fit and work for Scottsdale. Yeah. So there's no better people that know the community of Scottsdale than the people who live, work, play, and pray here. So we're taking a combination of the Blue Zones model nationally and bringing it to the community to really customize it for our community for more good years all around.
Well, you've been here for decades. You have a family here. You're very ingrained in Scottsdale. Yes. So why was this personally an initiative and a motive for you to be a part of.
Absolutely. So I spent a long time in the tourism community, and that's where the majority of my professional career in Scottsdale was. And so I thought that was going to be the space that I stayed in. So when Blue Zones was invited into the community by Honor Health in collaboration with the city of Scottsdale, it was the first time I ever heard about it, and that was 4 years ago. And it was...
That's crazy.
It is. I know. And so it was just really exciting because it kind of took everything that I could possibly care about and put it into potentially something I got to do for a living.
Yeah.
So when I thought about the things I'm good at and things I care about, my passions, my skills, my gifts, and then on top of it, there was a job that came with that. That was like I had hit the jackpot. So that's what made me take the leap of faith to apply and then ultimately get offered and accept this role. And it has been nothing short of probably the most fulfilling and rewarding work that I'll have the opportunity to be a part of in my lifetime.
I love that. You and I have really got to know each other over these past 4 years. And so I mean, your happiness is real, right? It's, I mean, you can see it and feel it. So you are representing Blue Zones in your own life. Let's talk about let's go into depth.
Sure.
Blue Zones Project Scottsdale. So we kind of talked about the 9 principles. Let's talk about Scottsdale's a very healthy city. We have so many things to do. We're a year-round active city. Some people are like, what else could we possibly do? How are there improvements here in Scottsdale to really be more Blue Zones active?
Yes. So one of the biggest challenges that we've been facing since the beginning is combating isolation and loneliness. Yeah. And what we initially discovered was that it was our aging population who was becoming more and more isolated and lonely. But as we dove deeper into the community at large, we found that isolation and loneliness is impacting young people and middle-aged people and our aging population as well. So we realized this was going to be a big feat that we needed to overcome in bringing people together. So that connection piece of what Blue Zones does is really, really valuable, and incorporating those other lifestyle principles into connecting people so that you are surrounded by your positive pack of people, your support system. You're making friends at any age, and that doesn't matter if that's happening at school, if that's happening at work, if that's happening in your neighborhood, or other environments, because we have to ultimately shape those environments so that we can be more connected. So that has been one of our biggest initiatives, is creating stronger connection, because in many neighborhoods, right, you may not even know your neighbors, right? We drive in our garage, we leave, and then we come back and shut the door.
People are like, why did you start the podcast? That's literally why I started the podcast, was to get to know our neighbors, right? Like, we all do that. I know Tom's across the street. Do not know what Tom does. Do not know his last name. But we wave to each other, and he has 2 dogs. Yes. Tom's great, right?
Exactly.
That's it. Shawn was on earlier in the episode, and she was talking about, when she has new families moving here, the sense of community is great. And she says part of the reason that she thinks that is because we are a melting pot of a city, right? And so for us to have that community connection, we all crave it. We all need it as human, beings. But it is hard when we're all melting, and it's hard to make friends as adults too. But how important that village is to survival in that sense.
I think that's one of the things about Blue Zones in our programs is, one, they're always free.
Yeah.
So there's never a barrier to entry to even get into the door. And as the more awareness about Blue Zones Project happens, people know that if I go to a Blue Zones program, it is going to be a very welcoming, inviting, safe space. And that sometimes is intimidating as well, because if you're just signing up to go to something by yourself, that is not everybody's cup of tea. I mean, I am always up for the challenge to not know a single person in the room, but I think I'm socially awkward in that way, that I just jump right into meeting new people, but realize that isn't a natural skill set for probably most people, especially in an environment that is so online and tech driven, that just that human connection has even evolved a little differently than what it used to be.
Let's talk about what life radius means and how you all implement that into the project.
Absolutely. So most Americans across the United States spend about 90% of their time within a 20-mile radius of their home.
I would say I absolutely do that, yeah.
And I would say in Scottsdale, it might even be
it's less.
A smaller radius. And, and depending on where we're at in community, because this work is happening from our southernmost point to our northernmost point. So work and programs are offered tip to tip of Scottsdale. But depending on where you live, you may only need to go 5 or 10 miles from your home because you have access to everything that you need. So when we look at life radius, it really is the spaces and places you spend the most time outside of your home. Okay. But your home environment is important too, and what happens in your home is important. And so that's where we really try to impact and amplify the most opportunities for change in terms of shaping our environments that nudge us into healthier choices and opportunities.
I want to ask, this kind of just came to me. I mean, I want to dive in next to the 9 principles that y'all really focus on. We are a very healthy, active lifestyle community as a whole in Scottsdale. So when y'all were going through, was that community connection one of the lower points that was registering here in Scottsdale compared to the active lifestyle or compared to the eating healthy habits kind of thing? Where did you find?
Sure. So we utilize the Gallup Wellbeing Index survey as the measurement tool for overall well-being. And so there's 5 categories. And so initially, and to, your presumption of Scottsdale's probably faring pretty well in comparison to the average American city, that is absolutely accurate. And so when we actually look at on a 0 to 100 point scale that Gallup's been doing this research of well-being for many, many years, is that Scottsdale does fare about 10 points higher than the national average. Interestingly enough, though, if we were thinking about it, I mean, it's that time of year, finals, schools, ending grades, 0 to 100, 100 being your A+. The national average sits at about 58.5 in well-being.
Ouch.
So even with Scottsdale being 10 points higher than that, it just goes to show that there's room for improvement pretty much all across America.
That's good, but that's good to know. Yeah. Let's talk about the 9 principles and pillars that you all dive into for this.
Yeah. So we break it into 4 categories to keep it really simple. It was actually really great. Earlier today, I had the opportunity to go to one of our Blue Zones approved schools, an elementary school, and the 5th graders, as part of their International Baccalaureate program, really focused on the Blue Zones principles. So it was really fun to hear them explain it to us, how they interpret all of the Power 9 lifestyle principles. So we break them into 4 categories. We like to keep it simple. That's the whole point, because it's really digestible then, and then people can know where they can start. And it's maybe starting with 1, maybe you want to jump all in and focus on all 9, but it really gives people a lot of choices. And so movement is one of them. It really is just a matter of moving, getting out, walking. Where, as summer temperatures, and we have to be mindful of seasons here, we find places where we can go inside and walk together. So we'll have we have a walking group that started in Fashion Square 2 summers ago, and that group still walks together today. So even though we're not making you register or sign up, that group has created a really nice, strong bond. So just encouraging, whether it's you have a dog and you're walking your dog, to keeping a pair of walking shoes close by so you're reminded to just take a quick walk, or if you're at the office, a walking pad or sit-stand workstation that gives you the opportunity to keep moving so you're not sedentary. And then, eating wisely, that's always, we hear diet and exercise at the doctor's office all the time, but this is also really important about what happens outside of the doctor's office. Because we can go to the doctor can tell us all of these things that we need to do and incorporate into our lifestyle, but if that's not accessible or easy for us to incorporate in our busy lives, then we're going to go back to the doctor and they're going to tell us the same thing the next time. So this is really why what happens outside of the doctor's office is equally as important as what happens inside. So around the eating wisely components, it really is the 80% rule. So that's actually eating until you're 80% full. So it's fun to hear 5th graders talk about that and how you feel if you eat till you're 110% full, or if you don't eat enough and that you don't have the energy. So again, simplicity, and it was fun to hear them talk through it. Plant slant, so that is incorporating more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, leafy greens, legumes. There's lots of different things that are nutrient dense that we can incorporate in and on our plates, and then into our bodies as well. And we all know the benefits of all that. Wine at 5 is another crowd favorite in Scottsdale.
You can still indulge.
Exactly.
I love it.
So having a glass or 2, but it really is, in moderation, in good company. And, that originates, of course, there's a wonderful Sardinian red wine where that really comes from in its infancy of showing that is more good years when you consume a glass of wine. And then the other areas are really around connection and belonging, and then having the right outlook. And so right outlook is really focused on downshifting and de-stressing, and that was actually fun, too, to hear. Everybody does this differently. And so you and I might say, let's de-stress and go have happy hour tonight, and let's connect. And that social connection gives us the opportunity to shed stress. Others might say, you know what, I want to be by myself. I want to meditate. I want to go to church. I want to take a nap, whatever, read a book, whatever it looks like to shed the stress that we all carry. And then purpose. There's a lot around purpose. We host purpose workshops and facilitate those. So whether people are living on purpose or just unlocking purpose for the first time, to really tap into what you're naturally good at and what you enjoy doing, so that you can always keep purpose as part of your daily life. And then the connection, family first, loved ones first, positive pack of people around you, and then really a sense of belonging. So that rounds out the 9.
What was one of the biggest changes you saw that you needed to make that you might not have been aware of before you started this role?
Downshift, without a
I was going to say that, knowing you that a little bit I do, but like I'm sure that relaxation and stopping for you was a reality.
And I would say it's probably one for many, and you don't even realize how detrimental it can be until you really stop, press the pause button, reflect, take a look. Even times, we all go through things as individuals, as children, as parents, as spouses that, sometimes it just feels like we have to fix all the time and have a solution right away. And sometimes it feels like the world is falling, even though it's not.
Right.
And when we actually take that time to pause, and again, something I continuously improve on every day of my life is that when I let it soak in, when I pause, when I reflect, and then ultimately am rooted in gratitude, that is a total mindset shift for me, and that is going to be sustainable for me to continue to be able to show up the way that I do and the way that we do and my team does for the community and community members too, because the other options aren't really sustainable.
I'm reading this book about how to find your happiness in life, like what's happiness. And one of the things that the author is saying is like you need to stop. And you can't find the happiness if you're always on or always working or always on your phone. So I've really made a purpose of like I go outside, and because it's getting light so early now, I'm literally watching the birds bicker and argue and fight over each other in the morning with my coffee, and I leave my phone inside. I've had my kids be like, "You look bored. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not." Like I'm literally just listening to outside, and it's been a game changer for me. It clears your head. It's 20 minutes. It doesn't take much. But they're saying that's a huge key to happiness is like stop. And stop,
And that kind of shows too, I think, the gratitude leads to happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
The happiness
At this
doesn't
moment
create
to reflect
gratitude.
on the good things that are happening in your day. When something doesn't go your way, that's what we focus on, right? I mean, I do this with my kids, myself. It's like, oh, look at everything I did today, not the two things. So it all goes hand in hand.
It kind of goes back to having and being enough as well. And, I think a society that really is always pushing you to do and have more. So
Speaking of more, you do more talk about some of these events and programs to do more and bring us more incorporated together.
Absolutely. So there's lots of individual programs that people can join. So whether that is we're doing more and more cooking demonstrations, purpose workshops, walking groups. There's a group that plays board games on the weekend. There's just, and we can bring any of our programs into organizations, into communities, into neighborhoods. So if the ideas come our way, we always want to go and help support and fulfill what it looks like. So we're also open for new ideas on how to connect and reach more audiences. So whether that's younger demographics and what they like to do, and say, well, okay, how can we create meaningful experiences that are going to resonate with generations across the board and not necessarily just speak to one demographic or another. So always adding more, trying to really program and think of good things to do for the summertime, especially since we want to be safe and not get everybody out in the heat of summer, but still stay connected. So unlike places that winter is when you go into hibernation.
Or summer.
People, go into hibernation in the summertime, or they flee to another place. So that lots of different programs and events that we continue to try to get creative and innovative with for engagement opportunities with Blue Zones. And of course, we're always happy to go and share and talk more about Blue Zones and Blue Zones Project and what we're trying to achieve in our community certification. And then we're always more work sites and restaurants and schools and grocery stores can become Blue Zones approved organizations, which our team is working really hard to reach those kind of certification metrics that then get us to sort of the tipping point, right? Critical mass that really means once we've got a certain number of the community on board for this, which we know it's not going to be 100%, but it's going to live beyond Blue Zones.
Yeah.
And that's talking ourselves out of jobs sometimes, but that's what ultimately so many organizations want to do is if you can create something that is sustainable and lives on without you, and that you're not needed to fill a need anymore, that's success in itself.
Yeah. What's last time we had you on, this was very new. We are just introducing it. You all have come so far. You're now in schools, you're in grocery stores, you're in restaurants. What phase, however you want to preface it, are we in, and what's next to get this official Blue Zones Project Scottsdale certification for the city?
So we are in our third year of 4 years of transformation now. So it seems like it was the blink of an eye.
It really does.
When
we were talking about this, I could not believe we're on year 3 because it really does feel like yesterday.
Yes. So I just celebrated 3 years with Blue Zones Project, which again, taking the time to pause and reflect at what we've accomplished. So opportunities like this is great, because otherwise we just go through the motions and we get through the finish line. And I love to celebrate anytime there's an opportunity to celebrate. So being 3 of 4 years in, we have actually reached our school certification metric.
Nice.
So we needed to have 18 approved schools, and we've gotten there. And then we still have a few more that if they don't finish up this year, most likely early into next school year, they'll finish becoming approved. So I am excited to see how many schools we have in the Blue Zones Project approved family. And so schools have really embraced and led the charge, and actually probably has some of the most opportunity for meaningful impact when we're helping shape how our young people can be thriving in the future. We have no idea what the future is going to hold for them. So if we can set them up for success, then they're all going to be better off, so that as we live better and longer too, we'll really be able to enjoy those years. So schools is cruising along. We're sitting probably around 60-65% for restaurants and work sites. So well on the path of where we need to be. We're about, from an individual engagement standpoint, we're probably about 3/4 of the way. I'd say we're just shy of about 75% of reaching the pillar targets, but we also really need to make sure, and then our policy work is cruising right along as well. So we're right on track for reaching those goals. And with that said, what we need to see then too is that as we send out those Gallup Wellbeing Index surveys, that we're seeing well-being improving in a certain number of areas as well. We're seeing improvement in community selected measures that our sponsor organizations and Honor Health, Cigna, and Goodwill have outlined as high priority areas. So when we have a combination of all of the certification targets and pillars from People, Places, Policy overlaid with Gallup and overlaid with community selected measures, which ultimately the impact stories, the testimonials, the individuals that really have embraced and engaged with Blue Zones, that's the outcomes that we're looking for.
Blue seal of approval.
That will get us to. So our end date of the project for phase 1 is October 31st of 2027.
Okay,
and
let's
then
do it, Scottsdale.
Let's go. We need more help for more work sites and more restaurants. So if you've got good spots, and we really can work with anyone. And I think we've talked about that before. We're not changing anyone's concepts or principles of what they're doing, just adding more options to appeal to even larger audiences that really prioritize well-being, and that's ultimately one is people to live better, longer lives, and we can help make the healthy choice easier. So
let me ask you, what's a big misconception about Blue Zones?
I think sometimes before people talk to us or get engaged with people who have been participating in programming is, people will say, well, I don't want to be told what to do. And that
I don't
fair.
either.
Nobody does, right? I don't want to be told what to do either. And I think that's the beauty of what Blue Zones Project actually is and does, is that it is choose your own adventure, right? All of the Blue Zones research is evidence-based, and it's been validated, and there's lots of reports out there that showcase that. And there's always maybe someone out there trying to debunk something or, have an opposing side, which absolutely is fine, I think. But ultimately, this stuff works, and we just have to put it into practice. And once we model the behavior, then others will follow and see the results.
Leaders.
Yes.
Thank you so much for you and your entire team and what they do. I think that we could always, like I said, Scottsdale is a very healthy, happy city overall, but we all have room for improvements, right? I mean, even you and I were talking about just stopping and pausing was an improvement. So go check it out, bluezonesproject.com. You can find out more information on how you can help Blue Zones get involved or suggest things. Like you heard Sarah say, we're always looking for more projects, more restaurants and schools, etc. And since we're talking all about the Scottsdale Scottsdale community. Let's talk about a lifetime community member here, Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. He loves giving back to the community. It's a top priority for Jeremy and his whole team. He's been here for over 25 years, helping neighbors just like you and I with home, auto, life, and business coverage. He knows our city, our lifestyle, and our needs. Plus, with 3 local offices, he is always close by to help. So give Jeremy a call at 480-515-5223 or visit him at jeremymueller.com, because here we look out for one another. If you want to stay in the loop on everything around Scottsdale, then we've got you covered. Just go click on our social media links for the vibe happening around town. Have a great week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.